Welcome to the GM Opening Bell Crypto Show with your host, Crypto Bull Ron. Just bear with me a minute. I'm going to go make sure that this is showing. I'm trying to be on YouTube, Rumble, and X all at the same time. So only the second time I attempted all three. So let me go and then let me update the stuff. So just bear with me. Okay, so here I can update everything on this one real quick so that then people can find me. I know how to do it on Rumble. I'll try and do it on I'll do it on Rumble real quick, and then I will try and go. So crazy Taco Tuesday today. I have been don't want to do it that way. Let's see if we can get it to let me edit. Let me see if I can do it over here. Typically lets me edit it. That way I can put the latest stream and everything. I want to put the new thumbnail and stuff, so bear with me 1 second. I've been in California for 5 days, Southern California. Got a little stuffy. I don't know why. I was hoping it was just allergies, but I'm not sure. Not letting me edit it. Let me go see what I can do over on YouTube, if it'll let me add the thumbnail and whatnot. Usually, then I got to check X as well. So just 1 second here, looking at the beautiful Dubai. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see if it lets me update anything here. To share, download. Add queue, what's later, download, share. No, maybe I have to wait until I'm done. It seems like I usually don't have to, but but at least it's working. So welcome YouTube. Only my second time. I was hurried to catch a flight last Thursday, so I did a real yeah, usually the Rumble. I don't have followers on either channel, but I'm doing it anyway. I've been in crypto mining a little bit, tinkering around with mining since 2011. I have been full-time since 2000 and late 2016, early 17, so about 10 years now. And I've been doing a live show, the GM Bitcoin Morning Show, for 4 years now on X. So I'm checking on making sure I'm coming live on X here. Okay. So it looks like I am live on X. Okay, well, welcome everyone. I will enable the chat if anyone wants to chat. This is supposed to let me chat with everybody at once. So anyway, I've been doing that show for 4 years. It's a space. You're welcome to join me. That runs 10 to 11. We have hundreds of people joining. We talk much of the same information, to be honest with you. This just lets me reach and it also lets me show slides and video clips and things like that. So welcome. So yeah, I have been working full-time in crypto since 2010. Prior to that, I've been an investor for over 40 years. Bought my first stock when I was in kindergarten. So no, first grade, I guess it was. And I have did take an internet company public. So taken a few companies public. So never worked professionally in the financial world. So nothing I gives obviously financial advice, but have tinkered most of my life, been an investor, as well as I've been in crypto for full-time for 10 years. I do run a crypto fund based out of British Virgin Islands. So I've been doing that since 2020. So that is my full-time job. And I just kind of do this for fun. So let's jump over to markets. And, kind of the purpose of this show is to kind of see how the macro is going to affect everything, how what's happening in the macro market. Not that we care so much, to be honest with you, about stocks and things like that. I don't currently invest in any stocks. I just invest in crypto companies. But it's affected, much as we all want to believe that it's the digital gold, It's an asymmetric, uncorrelated asset. It's an inflation hedge. It's a hedge against debasement. The true reality is it's treated like a risk on asset. So what affects risk on assets? What helps us? That will tell us there. So first off, the market's 7 minutes away from opening. Let's jump over to the market and see the futures were looking pretty good. Let's pull up NASDAQ futures first. Looks like it's positive about 0.45%, which is good. So it looks like the NASDAQ's going to be opening up a little bit. The Dow is about even, about level. Looks like it's going to open up about flat, slightly in the red right now. And that these different indices can do different, depend on actually now it's looking like it's 0.14% to the negative. I still call that flat, to be honest with you. But a lot of these indices, the different ones, can be affected by earnings and stuff that day. So, they don't always act together. I typically look at these three. We had such a horrific week, Friday we had a huge pull down in crypto for the week. We'll check it in a minute. Just absolutely horrific. Yeah, it looks like I call that pretty flat as well. The S&P looking to open up 0.1414. So the NASDAQ's the best. We can take a look at gold. Gold and silver had those horrible crashes on Friday. And, we talked about them. If you look at some of the older shows, we were talking about those. It was just crazy. That drop. That was an insane drop, right? 40% silver, and I don't know, about, I think 6-8 for gold. But man, those were absolutely crazy. So anyway, I will try and be here. I wasn't here yesterday because I was, once again, I was traveling, and so I wasn't here Friday or yesterday, but I'm trying to be here every morning. Roughly, probably won't be any earlier than 9, and usually around 9:15, 9:20. We'll run to just before the top of the hour. We'll watch the markets open, and we'll see. We'll kind of talk about some news and different things are happening. But anyway, gold 49.51, up 6.43% today. So having a little bit of a rebound after that horrific drop. Let's look at the crypto bubbles. Now this is Crypto Bubbles. It's a free app. It's on both the app stores. You can get it for your phone, or you can get it for desktop. What I like about it is it really gives you a quick visual, right, of what's going. You can just look real quick and see. We'll come talk about these in a minute, but first let's go look at Bitcoin. And like I say, my primary idea is to see what news might affect the market before it opens, check the market before it opens, check the market after it opens, and cover some of the big news events that might have happened when you're sleeping. Since I'm full-time crypto, I'm usually up for about 4 to 6 hours by now, digesting the news and how it may affect the market. So that's I've done it anyway, and I do it for my long-running show, the GM Bitcoin Morning Show, that you can catch right after this on X. My handle is @CryptoBullRon. Been doing that show for coming up on 4 years now. So Monday through Friday, have co-hosts and stuff. A lot of the same information, but obviously it starts a half an hour after the market. I wanted to kind of get a jump on the market. Bitcoin 78,240. Officially down, up 0.3 for the week, even for the last hour. Where you still see that 11.4% drop for the week. If we look at the weekly chart, we came from 90,215, and monthly we were at 97,665. So pretty good drop. But what I will tell you, especially if you're new to crypto, this happens all the time, and it used to actually be worse. Even in a bull market, 30-40% drawdowns were not uncommon. Like I said, I've been here for 4 cycles now, I think. Like I say, since 2011, but really paying attention, full-time attention, late 16, early 17. So for 10 years now, I've seen it all. And I don't feel like there's ever been a better time to buy Bitcoin. I'm really FOMOing in. How can I stack more Bitcoin? Because I really thought it would be higher by now, maybe 250,000 to more like 250,000 plus, 200,000. So the fact that we can get it down here, I believe, is an opportunity. So we're going to talk about, is this going up or going down? And nobody knows. Let me just tell you that. Nothing, what I want you to do is I want you to give you some ideas and some tools so you can make your own decisions, because it's your money you're investing. And a lot of financial advisors don't really know that much. So sometimes they don't understand it themselves. If you get one that really understands it, you're very lucky. But even Bank of America came out last week and said everybody should have about a 4% allocation. And that's, I know some very sophisticated money managers who their clients are 15 to 20% allocated in Bitcoin, but that's probably aggressive, at least according to kind of what the standard is right now. But that's Bitcoin. Ethereum, the second biggest crypto out there by market cap. Also, where a lot of smart contracts. You see a lot of dApps. You see a lot of projects built on Ethereum. You also see a lot of stable coins. A stable coin is like Tether, USDC, you might see on the left of the screen. They're pegged to the US dollar. Trump has one, but they're pegged to the US dollar, so they don't really vary. And they act and function and can be used on the crypto blockchain rails, but they are not, they don't fluctuate. So a lot of the most stable coins are housed on Ethereum by far. Also, a lot of RWA. One of the things I talk about a lot in my in the GM Bitcoin Morning Show. In fact, in the title, every day I have AI and RWA. RWA is real world assets. That's tokenizing. Whether you tokenize a stock, a Lamborghini, a watch, a piece of art, real estate, land, a company, shares. And that's the tokenization of assets. And Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, is very, very bullish on RWA. So most of the RWA happens either on Ethereum and Solana. So Solana is probably slower and more expensive, but they're continuing to upgrade it, and it's probably more secure and more decentralized. So a lot of banks and governments and stuff will choose to host their stuff on Ethereum. BNB, which is the second largest, what we call layer 2, which is an actual blockchain. They own Binance and things like that. They're at 0.9% today, 0.2% in the last half an hour, still down about the same as Bitcoin, 12.5% for the week. BNB isn't as popular, I think, because it's probably less centralized and for what people don't, they like the other two better. It is a good company. They've got there's some good projects on there. It's very fast, very cheap as well. So I definitely own some BNB. 773. It got up to around, I want to say, let's look for the year, what the high was for the year. 1324. I originally bought BNB when it was around $2. I remember it was $4 forever, $7 forever, $14 forever. Back then, they didn't have their own blockchain. They were just an exchange token, but I got in at single digit, under, $2, $4, $7. That was way back in like 2017, early 2018. So I'm a big fan of BNB, to be honest with you. My biggest holding right now and what I'm most bullish on is Solana. Solana is probably the next biggest choice for dApps, which are decentralized applications, companies to build stable coins. They're number 2 in, I don't even know if they're number 2 in stable coins. Tron down here has a lot of, Tron isn't, I wouldn't say is all that well trusted throughout the world, but it is a fast, cheap blockchain. It does do a lot of stablecoin transactions. But companies in the US and maybe Europe and stuff aren't maybe Justin Sun. I believe he's a Chinese national. He may have residence somewhere else now, but anyway, a lot of Tron's been around for a long time. 28 cents. I bought Tron when it was way less than a penny. It's 28 cents now. It's 0.0000000, multiple zeros. That was one of the ones that I 1000x'd my money on almost. But anyway, Solana is one of my favorites now. I believe someday Solana sees $1,000, just like I believe in the next 5 years or less. I believe Bitcoin hits 1 million, and then probably 2 million, and probably 10 million someday. But Solana, I do believe someday. I believe it's undervalued, like a lot of cryptos are. But right now, we're looking at 102.81, down 17% for the week, and down 2% for the day. So let's jump over and see how the markets are doing since they're open, and then we'll talk about some of the news. Let's look back at. Welcome, by the way, everyone. I see a lot of people listening. Welcome. Leave a like, leave a message. Do you want to say anything, have any questions, or want to just say anything to the audience? Feel free to jump on. Same going if you're listening on Rumble or YouTube. Like I said, I'm just very new. This is only my second live stream ever on YouTube. And I've done maybe 10 or so on Rumble, but I don't even really have any followers on those. Where I have about 38,000 followers, because I spend most of my time on X, formerly Twitter. Okay, here we are. We're looking at, let me refresh it. It's not giving me the newest. Okay, yeah, NASDAQ looks like it's up slightly. Looks like it's up 0.37. The Dow, surprisingly, is up a quarter point. So it looked like it was going to be flat, maybe negative, and it opened up. So you never know. Futures don't always tell the whole story about what's going to happen. That's why we have this show. We'll talk about it, and we will talk about what I think is affecting the biggest things to news to affect the show, affect everything. Yeah, so the Dow Jones is positive plus a quarter point. Last but not least, we'll check 929 up 5.94% for the day. The S&P 69.86, up 0.15. Let's go back and look quickly. Oh, crypto, we'll look in the last hour. Bitcoin's flat. Ethereum, BNB 0.2, XRP. XRP is another one that's its own blockchain. It was meant to kind of replace Swift and work with the banks. I would say it hasn't accomplished that goal so much as what it originally placed out to do, but they're doing a lot. They're becoming a bank in Middle East. I think they have their banking license. They're filing for one in the U.S. They're doing a lot in Europe. They have their own stable coin. Very, very popular. Once again, $1.60. I bought XRP when it was in the pennies, single digit pennies. I wrote it up a couple of times, but it had such a big market cap. I never didn't like XRP. They did because there was a period, bull market or two ago, where it just kind of stayed flat. I didn't like that, and I didn't hold any during that period, but very popular. I get more people on the street asking me about XRP than anything. I don't hold a lot of XRP. Like I said, I've already crushed it twice with XRP, but I do believe it's a blue chip. I do hold a little bit in my portfolio. But you see a lot of excitement behind that. But let's look at kind of the big bubbles here. We've got Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is its own blockchain. I'm going to do a show just about Hype, kind of break it down for you. As I will some of these. I did do one last week about that. I did 2 or 3 last weekend about that penguin token. It was a real high flying meme token, but I'm going to come back and do quite a bit of content about these different tokens, so I can, you can get a little more information about them. Kind of shortcut your research if you want. But Hyperliquid is its own blockchain, but far as I know, the only project on it is their perps exchange, which is one of the biggest, fastest, cheapest ones out there. So, but I have heard I heard news that they're coming out with some new technology. I think we reported on the show yesterday on the GM Bitcoin Morning Show, the space there. They're coming out with a technology that might compete with like Polymarket and Kalshi. So that'll be interesting with the Polymarkets doing what they're doing. We have Crow, that's a crypto.com. Another token I bought in the pennies or maybe sub pennies, and it's up to 8 cents, and it's crypto.com, which you've probably heard about. It's their native blockchain token. STX, one of my holdings as well. Stacks. It's a Bitcoin. It's built around Bitcoin. I should do I need to get back and do a full research on some of these. But Jupiter is the biggest exchange on Solana. Cake is the biggest one. Pancake Swap, that's the biggest one on the BNB blockchain. Matic is another layer 2 blockchain. There was a real high flyer there for years and years. I think I 400x my money on Matic from the early days, right? And once again, they were multiple zeros before it ever hit a penny. But yeah, haven't heard much about it. But they've changed their name to Pulse, so that's they are starting to do some stuff. Aster up here. Aster is launched on the Binance blockchain, heavily promoted by or supported by CZ himself. It's sitting at 59 cents. It is the biggest competitor to Hyperliquid. It's a perps exchange, and they're also supposed to come out with their own blockchain. So anyway, that's some of the things. Doge, Elon, I think, said he was going to put something on Doge. Morpho, to be honest with you, don't know much about that. Algorand, another OG blockchain. Memecore, I don't know too much about that either, but yeah, XAUT is, of course, Tether's where you can buy a gold, and they store it for you, so you can buy gold on the blockchain. You see, they've stacked up $3.51 billion worth of gold. Great way if you're like me and you travel a lot and you don't really have necessarily a home base country, and you travel a lot and you don't want to put it in a safe or or whatever you want to put on the blockchain. And supposedly you can cash it in for physical gold in a big vault in Switzerland. We talk a lot about that on our GM Morning Show, and quite interesting. And they're buying a lot of the gold right now. So anyway, let's talk about some of the things that are kind of affecting things, right? Like take a quick look over and make sure everything's about the same as where we left it. What happened here? Okay. Just real quick, make sure nothing's crazy's happened. And welcome all the listeners. Feel free to like, retweet. If you're following me, of course, on Twitter, you see I'm @CryptoBullRon, also on Rumble and YouTube, since I'm new there. Done about a dozen shows on Rumble. Only my first real legit one on YouTube. Okay, now we see the NASDAQ down 0.15. We see the Dow continuing to gain steam, 0.44, S&P 0.6. So pretty flat. We will come back and check on those before we wrap up the show. Also on Bitcoin and crypto. I want to talk to you about why I think we kind of maintained yesterday, and we have some upside, and that's the PMI, right? We see a lot of people talk about a lot of different things in crypto. People talk about the 4-year cycle, right? That was the most tried and true situation where you had the Bitcoin has a halving every 4 years. They cut the amount of Bitcoin made per day in half. Right now, I think we're sitting at about 400 Bitcoin a day, and every 4 years that cuts in half. So it was a very good indicator of where crypto was and where it would go, and it was crazy. The first 3 cycles or so, You could almost set your watch by it. It was literally like 1,020 days after the halvening, you would get your all-time high on Bitcoin. You could set your watch by it. It was that, but that didn't happen this year. That would have been around 1010, and obviously we know that was nothing but mayhem, whatever. That's another story. But the 4-year cycle, some people still believe in it. Some people don't, but for the most part, it's definitely not as accurate an indicator. A lot of people, couple the macro things I like is the M2 money supply. That's how much the money is growing. There's about I'd say roughly an 80%, 70 to 80% correlation. I don't know what the exact numbers are between the M2 money supply and the Bitcoin price. And recently there's been quite a divergence. So many people believe that will play catch up. And many people, such as myself, believe that Bitcoin is far repressed from where it should be right now. And I'm one of those. And I believe that, especially when we get the new Fed chairman in, we lower the rates. I believe that the other, just Monday, was it Monday or Friday? I can't remember. China was printing a lot. So M2 money supply is at an all-time high. That's an indicator. But another macro indicator, potentially the most accurate, is the PMI, which is, they call, you either hear it as the PMI ISM. It's the Purchasers Manager Index, sometimes referred to as the ISM because that's the organization that does it. But here we have Marty Party. Marty Party is a big Solana bull, very big account out here in X. He has, let's see, 245,000 followers. Now, my favorite YouTube channel all over is Invest Answers. Invest Answers to me is one of the best. There's a lot I listen to and have for years and years. A lot of them since they had, 500, 1,000 followers. I've been listening. I love Invest Answers. Every Monday, he does a show with Marty Party and a couple other guys, and it's a very good show. It's something you probably should listen to every week. As far as it's Monday, like after my shows, a little later, but it's a very good indication. But anyway, so Marty Party's someone who's pretty solid. He says this, big believer. He believes, and he's very bullish. I listened to a show yesterday with Invest Answers, and he's very bullish because of the PMI. So he says the U.S. economy has been in recession since COVID. The PMI is the most important indicator of growth and beat today by 4.6 points, reading 52.6. This is the first indication of an expanding economy in over 4 years. So basically, if the PMI is over 50, then you're expanding. If it's under 50, you're going backwards. Now, in December, I believe it was 47 and some change. And today it's literally 52.6. I believe if you want to say, why are we doing why didn't the bleeding continue? Why are we rebounding? Why could we potentially go higher soon? I look at this PMI, ISM. You'll hear it referred as both. A lot of people don't use it or don't know about it, but it's a macro indicator that is the most correlated, the most accurate. If you're going to look at something, I look at this and then I look at the M2 money supply, but this is more coordinated, more correlated. So I do believe this is something you need to start following, or if you hear about the PMI, or it's also referred to as the ISM. But anyway, here is this. Yes, the market is highly manipulated and fundamentals don't translate to immediate repricing in dollar pairs. But this is my bottom signal. Confirmation via expanding liquidity, overall economic expansion. I stand by my call, not financial advice. Of course, nothing you ever read should be deemed as financial advice for myself or anyone else. Many people have an agenda. Many people have just maybe their own biases. Many people are different than you are. Really, what you should do is study it enough to where you can have your own opinions. Now, if you don't want to spend time, then just buy Bitcoin. Don't even, buy it through a broker, buy it through Coinbase or CoinZoom or Kraken or one of these other U.S. exchanges, or buy it through your broker with iBit or something like that. But this, this to me is the most important thing that happened yesterday. And this to me is why we may be at a bottom. Yeah, you just see a lot of people. And it's the biggest, by the way, since like here's Church of the Cycle. Yesterday's ISM PMI reading was way above expectations, which by now everyone and their mother knows. The real news is this time it's not a fake out like 2024, 2025. We are at levels that we last saw in Q3 of 2022. Last time on the way down. This time we are on the way up. So that is, to me, the news for this week until something trumps it. No pun intended. Sorry, my wife brought me some hot ginger tea here to soothe my throat a little bit. But so that's the big news today. The big headline today is the PMI. It may very well mark a bottom or near bottom, right? There's a lot of, like Marty said, a lot of liquidation and stuff like that. But we are very close to a bottom. The rest of the news I'm going to kind of go through quickly, but just some things that maybe you didn't see. You've probably seen this by now. SpaceX has acquired X. Well, let's read the headline for here first. SpaceX acquires xAI to build orbital AI data centers. The deal combines SpaceX launch expertise with xAI's technology to create massive data centers in orbit. Okay, so basically from SpaceX, they've acquired xAI, forming one of the most ambitious vertically integrated integration engines on and off Earth. This was funny. Remember when he was on Saturday Night Live, which marked the Pico top for Dogecoin back in the day. By the way, welcome everyone who's listening. Definitely make a comment if you like. If you like this kind of content, I will be here Monday through Fridays about this time discussing the macro opening bell. And I'll also be creating other type content, specific content, maybe hitting typical coins or trends or things like that. Also, I do my show here coming up in 11 minutes, the Bitcoin GM Bitcoin Morning Show, which is coming up on 4 years here. So this is when he was on Saturday Night Live. I thought this was hilarious. Leaked image of the people responsible for leading the negotiations between SpaceX, Tesla, and xAI as they consider merging together. So funny, right? But it's just kind of a shell game. Here's kind of Trung Phan here says it best here. Just kind of look at this. October 22nd, October 22, Elon acquires Twitter for $44 billion. March 23, xAI founded. July 2023, Twitter rebranded to X. May 2024, xAI raises $6 billion at a $24 billion valuation. July 2024, xAI completes the Memphis supercluster, 100,000 GPU in 122 days. Jensen Huang said that should have taken like 18 months, and they did it in an amazing amount of like 3 or 4 months. December 2024, xAI raises $5 billion at $50 billion valuation. March 2025, xAI acquires X in an all-stock deal, which values xAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion. Okay, June 2025, xAI raises $5 billion at $136 billion valuation. Now here we are, January 2026, last month, xAI raises $20 billion at a $230 billion valuation, then acquired by SpaceX. So now, June of this year, SpaceX IPO is going at an estimated $1.5 trillion, which will now incorporate X and xAI. So basically all those, he's been able to continue to raise money on the different narratives, and now he's bringing them all together. And he's about to pull off the biggest IPO in history. So interesting. Like I said, I'm very much looking to invest. I'm certainly something I will invest in if I have the opportunity. But yeah, very, very creative and smart. And I don't bet against Elon. Here's to see someone's making money out there. Crypto founder buys $30 million mansion. Aave, which is on Ethereum and is really one of the premier lending platforms. I got in Aave before it was Aave. I'm trying to think what it was. In 17, early 18, I got into Aave. Founder Stani Khrushchev scores a 22 million pound mansion in Notting Hill, London's exclusive neighborhood, one of the most expensive home transactions in the UK over the past year. So hats off to him. Hopefully we all get there someday. But beautiful house in one of the most prestigious areas. My favorite place in London, Notting Hill. So you may remember the movie with the lady from oh geez, skips my mind. The lady from Pretty Woman back in the day. She was in there with, I think, Hugh Grant. That was a great movie too. So anyway, shout out to him. Glad to see some people making money. Also, in other news, BitGo. Last week, BitGo, a digital asset infrastructure company, raised $213 million on its IPO on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbols BTGO, at an implied market cap of $2.1 billion, pricing above its filing range of 18 per share. So basically, BitGo, they went, there's a fin company. They went, here, this might be their tagline, the only investment bank focused exclusively on fintech. So big name in the space. Congrats to them, raising 213 million at a 2.1 billion valuation on the New York Stock Exchange, no less. So pretty cool. I'm excited. Anyway, so shout out to them. I think big news. It shows that stuff's continuing to happen here. We hear about these DATs or treasury companies, right? Of course, the most famous on the Bitcoin side is, of course, MicroStrategy, now holding like 712, 13,000 Bitcoin. We have several products. We've also heard, of course, of with Tom Lee. He's doing the same thing, and he's like, we were saying, is he going to be 10 billion upside down? But he doesn't care. The structured such so they can't get a margin call. So Tom Lee's the big one on Ethereum, holding a significant percentage of there. And then there's the Japanese one. They're the second biggest. Anyway, there's quite a few of them. I think the Trump boys, they're like number 7 now with their holding company. So companies buying Bitcoin. And this is one of the things when retail's kind of tapped out or maybe struggling, right? These kind of companies help do up the price, especially MicroStrategies buying virtually every week. But the Smarter Web company, they started trading on the London Stock Exchange today. So by going public, in this case, I don't know much about the London Stock Exchange. I've dealt a lot with obviously U.S., the Nasdaq, the New York Stock Exchange, having taken several companies public and assisted in probably half a dozen more. And I also did a lot on the on Asian, the Hong Kong and Taiwan stock exchanges because I lived over there for some time. But I'm not very familiar with the London stock exchange, but definitely one of the premier ones in the world. This gives the Smarter Web company gives them the ability to go in and raise more capital, which means they can buy more Bitcoin. I'll have to kind of speed it up here, bumping up against my other show, but just wanted to cover some of these things. Nevada judge temporarily bans Polymarket from offering event contracts in the state. Polymarket, these prediction markets, I use them a lot. I talk about them a lot. They're very, very good at predicting events, but they are somewhat, considered gambling. So, not doesn't surprise me. I think only one or two other states have started banning them. Certainly, you can see it's in Nevada's interest. So, this will be kind of a process. I do believe it's one of the exciting new niches out there, and it's very predictive. Since people are using real money, it's usually smart money. Very good at predicting events. So anyway, we'll see that continuing to play out. ING, I've done a lot of stuff with ING over my life. One of Germany's largest retail brokerages has rolled out access to crypto ETPs, including Bitcoin. So another big bank brokerage house in Germany. And Germany's been not too smart about their crypto, famously dumping all their crypto back, dumping it below 50,000, only to see it go up to 126. But anyway, every time a big institution buys, big institution banks start to sell. I think it's notable moves. We've got this. I'm not going to play it, but $15 billion Bitwise predicts Bitcoin will hit an all-time high this year, and they believe it's going to hit all-time high, as well as because of time restraints, I'm not going to play it. I have to play it on another screen so you guys can hear it. But nonetheless, he predicts new all-time high this year, and their base case is within a decade will hit $1 million Bitcoin. So this was interesting. It's over 2,000 days since MicroStrategy's adopted the Bitcoin standard. So 2,000, one of the smartest guys in the world, in my opinion. He said there are just two rules: you buy Bitcoin, you don't sell Bitcoin. That's all you have to do is HODL, which was early Bitcoin days. Someone misspelled hold for HODL. We've kind of taken that over. That's kind of jargon for hold on for dear life. So anyway, that's really all you need to know. Buy Bitcoin and hold it, dollar cost average. Um, Large pension fund just increased their via MicroStrategies. So their exposure to Bitcoin, they're buying MicroStrategies. A lot of companies are. 13,500,000. So they're now holding 13,500,000. You'll see these pension funds, these retirement funds, these sovereign wealth funds continuing to buy more and more. Maybe it's 1% now, maybe it's 2%, but eventually that may become 10 or 20%. So that's part of the thesis of what pushes this thing up. Let me share a different screen here. I had some I was going to let you listen to, um, but let me see if I can find it here. That's it, another, um, okay, this is basically Tom Lee, and I'm not going to play it. I was going to play it. We're out of time. He basically says we're at the bottom. His quants are telling him we're at the bottom. Of course, he's $10 billion, $10 billion upside down on his Ethereum. He either has a lot of vision or he's very wrong. But yeah, he's been around for a long time. Pretty smart dude. He's saying we're at the bottom. Also, I was going to play this one, but we don't have time. Kathy Wood said, "Sell your gold and buy Bitcoin." She believes gold is getting a little coffee. So she's her base case, I think, for Bitcoin. I think their base case long term is around, I don't know, 1.5 to $3.5 million. 1.5 to around $3 million. So Kathy Wood of Ark Investment, she says sell your Bitcoin, buy gold. Let's take let's jump back if I can, really quick. So just so we can take a quick look at our other window here. And let's take a quick look, see if anything's crazy happening. I just want to take a real quick look as we close out the show. By the way, thank you everyone for joining. If you see me on Twitter and YouTube, you like this content, give me a follow. You're also welcome if you're on X to jump over and check right now. You know what? Pretty close. We're up. Ethereum's up a little. Bitcoin's flat. Um, XRP up 0.1. So on a flat, so pretty flat day in the market. But I would argue a pretty good day. You take one last look here, and then I'll say adios to everyone until tomorrow morning. You catch me, between about 7 and 7:20. Excuse me, that's my time. 9 and 9:20 Eastern for me and see what's on here. See if the window wants to go up. If not, yeah, here we go. Okay, so looking. Let me just. Looks like Nasdaq's down about 1%. Yeah, Nasdaq's down 0.88. Oh, let me refresh it. I'm just looking over on the right here. Down 0.87. Probably stuff that's happening on the Nasdaq. Dow down level, and S&P down 0.41. So it's kind of turned backward. Crypto, meanwhile, is holding even. Appreciate everyone joining me. Join tomorrow. Like I say, like, retweet, make a comment, follow me if you're not already. Like this kind of content. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning. And good luck. Have a great Taco Tequila Tuesday, your disposition or how the market's doing. So see you guys all tomorrow.